I'm in my room now. Okay, so um, so what ended? What I kind of want to take some time to talk about is like, let's talk about dreaming because I think that's where a lot of the pain from this stuff ending comes from. So let's say every time I travel, this is one thing I learn. One of the powerful tools of education is it allows you to dream bigger. Good education should be able to do that, and so does reading good books. So does meeting amazing people. What ends up happening is your horizons just expand. Okay, so this is possible. For example, if I just stay in one town my whole life, what is possible is very like boxed in. All of a sudden, okay, I see this religion, I see this culture, I see these people taking this life path, I see these animals doing these weird things. I see you start your possibilities open up. So dreaming is really important in that because what ends up happening is you start envisioning things for yourself that you just never would have. And now you realize, oh, okay, like now so that's one half of the education puzzle. The other half is then developing the tools to then actualize those dreams. So you can fail in either parts. You can either fail in developing people who are extremely skilled who don't dream, or you can develop dreamers who just don't have skills. So putting those two together is really important. So, but there's this point in dreaming that's useful. So, for example, I was dreaming of this future that we potentially had together. This was going to happen, that was going to happen, it's going to be amazing, boom, 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 boom. Now that it ends, the pain doesn't come from just the thing ending, but the pain comes from not actualizing any of those dreams. So now that I had 100,000 dreams, all of them are just like, okay, these are done. The pain is amplified because of those dreams. But let's say I didn't have those dreams. I don't think then it creates that like fire of like, oh, I'm so excited for what there is to come. You wake up every day because you're actualizing that dream. So there's what ends up happening is you need to allow yourself to dream, to pretty much think of a newer, better future that's nice, but you cannot lose yourself in it. It cannot be a drug that takes you away from what you have in your present. So, for example, when I was in Europe, I feel like I had all these dreams about what I was going to do when I got back, right? I mean, the 10-day Vipassana meditation, the whole time I was like, okay, when you're out of here, you're going to go hang out with this person. You're going to hang out with that person. Get so excited. Boom, 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 boom. But then those things happen and they were awesome. And I think I lead my life in such a way where it's like I always have something to look forward to, a new adventure, and then boom, boom, boom. I always have something ready to come. But I think what I'm understanding now is that look, like that's it. It's good to dream. It's good to have something to work towards, but that cannot be what gets you through your day. You cannot have something in the future that gets you through today, because at the end of the day, you have one whole day. So I cannot have these dreams of the future I have with this person that gets me through the day I have today, which is not with that person. And so what I'm understanding is that there is this balance of dreaming that you need to incorporate into your life, and it cannot be too much and it cannot be too little. Dreaming is awesome. Dreaming is fun. It creates an opportunity for you to envision a future for yourself that you should then go strive and create. But I think it may be a good way is to like once a month, once a week, sit down, draw, paint, fully flush out your dreams, and then keep them in a book and store it away, and then live in the present, right? Like then no more dreaming. Like dream, you cannot just be in dreamland all the time because then it doesn't work and then it comes crashing down. So your dreams cannot be predicated also on things that are not likely to happen. So perhaps it makes sense to dream about a week from now, but you can't dream that big if it's like what's going to happen in a week. It can't be everything. But when I think about a year from now, I'm like, oh, I can dream like the world, right? And so like this India trip, the Europe trip, like living in Airbnbs, living in the woods. I mean, the list goes on. Were all originally dreams that then eventually materialized. But those are all things that I could materialize. But perhaps let's say my body stopped functioning or any numerous amount of things, then I couldn't have actualized those dreams. But I feel like when they're predicated more on you, you can kind of trust yourself to get them done. When they're predicated on another individual being involved, not so much. So yeah, so the thing kind of ended. Um, but it's given me some space to like reflect on. I mean, let's talk about what a relationship really is. Being in India, feel like I've been hearing the whole marriage talk a lot, and it's interesting. Um, would I like a family? Like, yes, I would like a family one day, and I would really like to fully commit to multiple children, um, and live that life for live that life as well. But do I care deeply about this education thing? Yes. So one thing I'll say is I had a very kind of a view of the person that I wanted to be with, someone who was really in touch with themselves, someone who's really in touch with their. So I can maybe let me just talk about the type of person that I envisioned. Somebody who I felt like strive to be a better person every day, and what that exact better means is your physical dimension, your spiritual dimension, your mental health dimension, your familial dimension, your friend dimension. There's so many, but in every aspect, not just looking at three of them, but as a holistic person, attempting to be the best version of themselves that they can, and striving for that being like a real goal. And in doing that, constantly, introspecting and reflecting on, okay, why am I doing this? Is this correct? Someone who, somebody who was kind, loving towards all humans, volunteered their time, and so, when I think about it, even now, it seems like what I wanted to be with is the person I want to be one day. Is that the way to find a partnership? Well, if that's a person I want to be, and in my head envision that person as a better person than me, why on earth would that person want to be with me, right? Like if I believe that that's a better state to be, and I'm still in this state, and I want to get there one day, why on earth would they pick me? Because I'm some handsome, dashing guy? No. So it's like there's no. That's what Akash once said. That he was like, why would someone who spend so much time volunteering this and that pick someone who doesn't volunteer that much? I mean, and that's a great question. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not that attractive, so I don't have anything. You would have to be with somebody who respects your values, but then they wouldn't then be better at those values than you are. They would have to look at you and be like, oh, well, you're open-minded, you're this, and I'm not. Therefore, I value that. So that means the person that I will probably end up attracting will be someone who doesn't have the same skills or values that I do. And so, I mean, maybe they're interested in my drive. Maybe they're interested in my open-mindedness or freeness or ability to create or be, so they would have to one, value those things, maybe have them themselves, or at least want to have them. More likely want to have them than have them. So I'm with, talking to this woman, and we are very different. Very, very, very different. All the skills I don't have, she probably has. All the skills she has, I don't have. And it took me a while to understand that there can be beauty in that as well. In that the differences sometimes collide well to create new opportunities. So with this person, I envisioned myself in actually achieving the goals that I wanted. I saw this person like as someone who motivated me to be better every day, be it in a different way. But what the kind of problem at the end came down to, what's funny? I was just actually thinking, I was like, the last time I feel like I was heartbroken, I was sitting in my car with my Georgetown. I just remember watching that video, I just remember recording it. I had my laptop sitting on my lap, and I went some conference or something, and then I was sitting in my car and I just recorded because I was simping super hard. Because I was thinking right now, I was like, did I do this last time when that happened? And I was like, yes, I did. This is very therapeutic because it's I don't know. There's something about the way you'll listen to yourself that I feel like maybe no one else will ever do. And I just think no one else cares about you as much as you care about you. So it's nobody will ever really be that listening ear that I feel like you need, which only you can provide for yourself. And so even through this, I'm like, oh, I'm heard. I feel good. Which is, I guess, the point of it, right? So back to what I was saying. So with this person, I feel like what it came down to how do you reflect when you're toxic? Like, what does it mean to be toxic? Like, your goal is to be ultimately not toxic. I may be, but then now what I'm realizing is like, man, like, also screw that. Like, being this completely non-toxic person is like being kind of like, look, let's define toxicity first. Let's say I set out to have a goal. I'm gonna go do what I need to do to go get that goal done. And sometimes that may be like, like, is being not toxic like accommodating every person along the way, like just being super soft and like, uh, who who wants that? Like, does that person get stuff done? I'm not sure. Does your like super accommodating person to every person's need, like super like never says anything of their own opinion to never hurt anyone else's feeling, like how are they ever going to put their own like foot on the ground and stand for something? Like a non-toxic, like I feel like toxicity pretty much just means standing for something and then not letting anything come your way. But there's levels to that, obviously. And so, well, would I consider myself toxic? Yes. Have I learned how to communicate to the best that I can? No. One tendency I have, for example, is like I escape. So, for example, I'm like a child. I still do the blocking thing. Like, if someone really upsets me, I feel like my immediate reaction is, okay, I'm blocking them. I'm going to just, I don't want to talk to this person ever again. And we talked about this back then when I had problems with holding my boundaries. What I do is I set a boundary. I feel good about my boundary because it gives me fuel of like, yeah, you set a boundary. Good job. Keep going on. And then a few days later, or a few hours later, maybe, depending on the person, a few minutes later, something happens in my brain where I'm like, I want to hear them speak. I miss them. I want to, and then I remove my boundaries immediately. And then I'm like, all right, let's do it back. But then once it comes back, depending on the situation, I may start feeling the same ways I felt in the beginning to set the boundary up in the first place. That's dumb, right? So you have two options. Either one, don't be so extreme and stop blocking people, or just in any of your boundaries you set, stop being so extreme. Set boundaries that you can sustain, or develop the discipline to once you set a boundary, don't. That's the toxic part. To set the boundary, then put it down. And then set the boundary, put it down. You cannot keep flip flopping like that. Like, you have to pick one and choose, and then stick to it. So, and I think sometimes another issue is you have an intention when you say something, but maybe you're not as good as you think you are as like understanding how the other person will perceive what you're saying. But on top of that, the other harder part is how do you know whether you're problematic or you're problematic with this person? The only way to know that is if you're problematic with 30 people. But I'm not problematic with 30 people because one, you don't even show those sides to of yourself unless it's with somebody who's kind of in that intimacy space. So you're not ever going to show that to 30 people. But if you were to look at it, have you treated everybody who has loved you in that way at some point kind of harshly? Yes. So that means you're toxic. I mean, there's no kind of question about it. I think that's clear. So how do I change? Um, I'm just tired of always like changing, being better, being better. Like, can I just be okay with being okay? So like, okay, let's define toxic. Okay, like in what way? So you said the blocking. That's a good one. I think you can sometimes subliminally be very like passive aggressive in the way you talk. But like only now am I getting better at even catching that. Like, oh, okay, this is my intention when I'm saying it, and I have this slight kind of like side hook that like is this the weakest side hook ever or what? Look at this. Bing. Um Bing. Okay. Like a side hook kind of approach to some things that you say where you're like this could also be an additional jab at them and then you say what you have to say. And this person calls me out on that, which I really appreciate because you kind of have to I really like that she doesn't take my shit. I actually love that because I feel like only then can you learn. Otherwise, if your toxicity actually wins, then the relationship becomes toxic. As long as you're called out on your toxicity, I think there's a curb on which like it cannot pass. So like every time it's let in, then all of a sudden that becomes an accepted behavior. If it's called out every time, I don't think it's just a bad behavior. I don't think it becomes toxic unless the other person like accepts it, which I really like that this person doesn't. I think keeps me accountable and it checks me. But this concept like toxicity, I mean, I don't even want to like look. Human relationships are really complex. It's two people trying to figure out their each of their goals, how to like kind of materialize them, how like what they want. How do you communicate that? It's very hard. It's like to just be like, oh, I'm just a perfect non-toxic person. It's like that's a hard goal. Like, and yeah, I guess you have to admit that you haven't developed the interpersonal skills needed to really maintain like powerful, like you haven't done good conflict resolution. There are some parts of interpersonal relationships I think you do well at. Maybe like quality time, like really, spending time with the people that I love. I feel like giving them my presence and my attention when we're in person. I feel like hyping them up, appreciating them, celebrating their accomplishments with real, genuine intention. I feel like those are all things I do well. But in terms of like conflict resolution, I feel like I never developed that skill of like how do you disagree with someone but not have it be like the whole world is ending. So when I think of the people had a lot of conflict with, it's been Amr, Dan, and with Dan it was never handled too great, but it was decent. Amr, wasn't good until we did the road trip, and then we kind of talked it out and learned it a little better. Mylan, I feel like we've never really developed really good conflict resolution with each other. Decent, not bad, decent, for sure, decent. But could be much better. And apart from that, I just don't have a lot of conflict. I mean, with my mom and dad, it's terrible. All sides, I feel like, are not great at conflict resolution at all. Did not learn conflict resolution skills there at all. A lot of times we'd fight and then we'd just move on. There's no resolution. There's just conflict, no resolution. There's no resolving skills. And so, Arden taught me a little bit about conflict resolution, a bit. I feel like she was pretty good at it until the end, but pretty good. And so, with this person, I feel like the pinnacle right before it ended was just this kind of tough conversation. What the conversation was on itself is a whole other conversation to be had that we could maybe have. Why not? Yeah, why not? So, pretty much, I think one thing that's going to really happen in my life that I have to at some point address and learn how to be accountable. What does it mean to be accountable? I'm not sure. For the mistakes that I've made in my life, be it how I've treated people, things I've said, things I've done, just being mean. All right, a little mean. The thing is, like, immediately my brain kind of wants to like justify and be like, well, you don't know on the scale of meanness, like how mean it could have been. I want to make sure I'm prefacing by not saying it's the worst, but I think like all of that is just trying to like take away from the fact that okay, what it is that there have been points in your life that you have been mean. And I guess even when I say mean, it's such a broad, generic word because I don't want to define exactly what it is throughout my life that I've done. But it ranges the entire gamut. Of kind of actions that, and so this particular individual kind of, what happened, in 2015, so around 8 to 9 years ago. And yeah, I tweeted something and it was upsetting, but it really impacted her. So that's like one part of conflict resolution that I think, let's talk about the parts of conflict. So there's action, so I did something. But the thing is, like, in every action there's an intention and then there's a perception. Are you supposed to apologize if your intention was wrong? Are you supposed to apologize if like the perception was should you apologize if your intention was different than the perception? Should you apologize if your intention was purposeful? Like what are you apologizing for? There's different types of apologies. I mean, even that. There's multiple types of apologies. You can apologize for, okay, my intention that I look when I think about that person, that intention sucked. I'm sorry. You can apologize for, I'm okay with that intention, but the way you perceived what I did was so bad and it impacted you in such a way, let me apologize for that. And then you can apologize. The ultimate apology is where both was wrong. I'm apologizing for my intention and I'm apologizing for how you perceived it because both of it sucked. So that's interesting. I never thought of that. But yeah, there's multiple types of apologies. In this particular situation, my intention was, and this is how, okay, so this is how let me just put myself back in the brain of who I was at that age. I thought of the world as a hierarchy. You got to get to the top of the hierarchy. It's a social hierarchy, okay? I no girls liked me until I was like in the 9th grade. And then all of a sudden, a lot of girls liked me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is great. So how do I keep leveling this up? Okay, so I got this girl now. How do I get a more beautiful woman? How do I get a more beautiful? So I kind of had like this whole plan of like, okay, boom, 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 boom. I don't even know who was at the top, but somebody's at the top. And so every single person, every single action, every single thing is kind of like a stepping stone to get to this like, so using people as means to an end, which is the worst part, right? Not understanding the humanity in everyone and being like, you are a person who has a... It took me so long to understand that what I was experiencing is what's going on in everyone's brain. I don't know why it took me that long to figure that out. It's a very basic thing that should probably be in your brain at a much younger age. Maybe it's a developmental thing. I'm not sure when your brain's even capable of thinking that because it's probably not 3, but I think it's before you're definitely 16. Because some people just have that innate empathy in them, right? Like, oh, you're a person. So I didn't have that. And so everyone was like a stepping stone. So in this kind of process, this person got caught in that. So I tweeted something because I was like, okay, if I tweet this to these people are going to think I'm cool, blah, 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 blah. Very dumb. And in the same way many people got caught in that, she also got caught in that. And I feel like because of that, I tweeted something stupid and she ended up finding out about it and then was really hurt from it. And I still, someone can tell you how much it hurts them, like verbalize, it hurt me this much, it took me 3 weeks to get over, it took me a month over, it took me 6 months to take 10 years. But like, you can't feel that feeling of how much hurt something is, right? Like, it's hard to like, oh, I can really, if it didn't hurt you like that, you can't, or if you didn't experience something like that, you can't really put yourself in their shoes. I can't put myself in the shoes of what it's like to, to have to leave Ukraine because of the war, or just any of those type of situations. Because I can't even I haven't felt anything remotely close to that. So in the same way, I don't understand. I can't let that feeling sit. But what I can let it sit is I care about this person, and the fact that she's telling me how much it impacted her, and the fact that I'm capable of doing that, that sits with me and that hurts me. So I did this, I made this mistake. And so so you make a mistake in your life, how do you kind of move past it, right? So you can move past it on your own, which is in yourself, you can internalize it, understand what you did was wrong, understand which parts of it was wrong, and then figure out how you can do better the next time, and then implement it. That, to me, the same way in coding, that's the way of improvement when you make a mistake, and when you treat someone poorly. Now, how do you apologize to them? So let's say you've done the changes that you need to, but they just don't care. They're like, okay, I see that you've changed, but at the end of the day, you still hurt me and you made me feel this way. Why do I have to forgive you? Which is totally valid. And so that's how this person felt. I can forgive you in who you are today, because who you are today is very different than that person. And so I forgive this version, and I'm capable of, continuing our friendship with this version, but not that version. My understanding is, look, this is something that came from one of those conversations in Milan, where I'll always remember this, where, he had told me about his childhood, and I had said something at that point, maybe this was 2017 or 18, I was like, man, that's a really tough life. Like, I feel, grateful a lot of this didn't happen. And he was like, if you love the version you are today, you can only love that version because what happened transpired into becoming this person today. So if I had not experienced all of that, I would not be here today. Do I love who I am today? Yes. Therefore, I must love all that had happened because I don't know who I'd be today if not. Now that I say it again, that presupposes one other interesting thing, which is if I believe I would still love the person I am today, even if that person is different, then you can genuinely hate experience because you're like, if you took away that experience and somehow I can predict who I would be. So what Marlon and I agree with is kind of saying is that, like, look, like, even if, like, what it's saying is that you have no idea how you'd be if an event was taken out of your life, which is saying basically that the bad things that happen in your life lead to something good. But if someone just believes that you can take the bad things out of your life and then somehow just like keep it all good and you'd still maybe even be someone who's better than who you are now, then you can just look at that event and be like, why did that happen? There was no need for that to happen. So if you feel like you're a type of person who hasn't extracted any positive from the negative thing that happened in your life, then I can understand that person to be like, this is pointless. Why did this happen to me? Right? Like why did this happen to me? I got nothing from it. It didn't make me more empathetic. Because typically what I find is negative things that happen in your life lead to a few things. It allows you to be more empathetic, allows you to be more grateful, it allows you to, empathetic is understanding others, I was going to say that. So grateful, empathetic, more present, more humanistic. It gives you these elements because you can just understand when people suffer. But if you feel like your struggles gave you nothing, like any of those, then you would easily be like, or it didn't give you enough as much as the hurt was, you just be like, that was pointless. And so for someone who may not have ever gotten anything positive out of the negative things that happened to them, I can understand them being like, okay, well, that was pointless. Or the other reasons, right? So in my opinion, I'm like, okay, the person I was before back then has led me to pursue deeply and strongly this like will to be kinder, better, to give back to, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not doing those, maybe I'm not what I think I am. But in that way, I feel like, okay, that person, that's all you can do is look forward and move ahead. So, in my journey of forgiveness, I still remember that moment at UCSD, that therapist, the amazing Asian woman who, like, I would tell her, I was like, dude, like, I can't really sometimes look at myself, like, and she would, tell me a lot. She was like, look, like, sometimes you need to, like, your memory may sometimes be bad because you kind of separate each individual. That person's different, this person's different. I still do that. The way I talk, I'm like, this version is different than that version. While that may be true, there's one string that connects them all. Every past version I got them is not some different version. And the version today is only exists because the one 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes. Every different version is kind of all connected into one long string. So I can't just pick 3 of those out of that entire string and be like, these 3 sucked. Like, it's one string. It's not individual pieces. They're one string. You either hate the string or you don't hate the string. It's not, you can't pick and choose wolves in that one part. It's one long string that continues until you die. And so it's like, I don't look at that version and go, that person sucked. I look at that person and I go, look, that person made mistakes. But those mistakes have helped me become who I am today. You like who I am today? Those mistakes had to happen. But I am going to do my absolute best to make up for those mistakes. And until I die, I will try my best. Whether I do or not, that's a separate conversation. And so this person pretty much says, okay, like, look, I can appreciate the string that is today, but I'm going to solemnly swear until the rest of the time I die, I'm going to hate that part. I'm just going to, like, dislike them, and I'm going to hold this, like, anger towards that person. So my response is like, look, at the end of the day, that hurts you more than anybody else. Like, holding that much resentment inside of you will hurt you more than it will hurt anybody else on the planet. So I think where I can go wrong here is, look, when you're the one who impacts someone, you don't get to say how they should process it, right? Even if it's, like, negative for them, like, you're the one who did it. So you don't have the right to kind of be like, okay, well, this is how you should handle it. Like, you did it. Like, you can't tell, so that part I understand, I feel like, is where I kind of went wrong and messed up. But I mean, yeah, is that it? Is that it? Like, is there no more inquiry? Like, no more further inquisition? Like, okay, so I messed up there. It just hurts me to know that someone would like hold resentment towards a part of me their whole life. Like, how can you? To me, in my definition of what love is like to accept all of somebody, not who they are today. Like, that doesn't take much to accept someone for who they are today. If you feel like they've done self work and they're a decent person today, it's to like love the versions of them when they're sick, or when they do mess up, or when they do kind of make do dumb things. Um, I just had like a little I'm skinny moment. Like, dude, it's so dumb. You're gonna travel. You're gonna lose weight. You're gonna lose a lot of weight when you travel. That's just traveling. You're not gonna eat, and like you're gonna lose a lot of calories traveling. Like moving. Like you're not gonna just sit in one spot and like eat a lot and work out all the time. Like it's just not. You have. I've actually been doing really good about that, but just stupid insecurities. I'm skinny. So what? I'm skinny. That's okay. Your life doesn't end just because you're skinny. Um, that's an interesting. I should definitely go into like a whole like how much my weight and my legs have like impacted my perception of who I am, my value, my worth, like my important. Like that's a other whole thing. But um, in relation to this, I feel like how do you ever know whether a relationship is like right? If someone punches you in the face every day, do you know that's wrong? Like, I mean, you have to really define that. Like, this whole concept of you can make it work with anyone, I believe is true. But like, let's say someone is just it's just not it's treating you terribly. Like, can that still work? Like maybe. But like, so how do you pick the decision of whether to like fight for it or not? It's hard to tell. But I want to. I just don't know. Do you? I don't know if I trust somebody who like leaves you. Something I also don't understand. I've never understood that. I've never kind of believed that. I've always been like, once like the option to leave kind of gets thrown on the table, I think people like start taking it a lot more. I feel like it has to be an option that's taken off the table, and then you can like use all your mind power to like work within the confines of okay, we're gonna make this work, not within the confines of like we could make this work or we could just leave. Like then you have this whole other option. It's like I can either make my Mazda car work or I can like keep looking for a different car. It's like no, I'm gonna commit to my Mazda car and keep it as long as it possibly can go. And the same thing with everything I own. I don't care if my laptop is hanging off one hinge, like about to fall off. I will stick with it until it fully finishes. R.I.P. That was a great laptop, HEN. This is a great one too. I'm sorry, Yoga. What is this? Lenovo Yoga. I love you too. I'll take better care of you. I'm sorry. Um, so I think like I'm in a place now where I feel like I'm a little emotionally hurt. What am I supposed to do in my life? Like I don't understand. Everyone pulls me in a different direction. Like what are you supposed to do? What does it mean to like somebody? Like what is important for a relationship? Like look, what I learned as a kid is how you get over a relationship? Just go hook up with as many people as possible. Like, what a dumb way to explain getting over somebody. Like, yeah, okay, well, you broke up with me? Watch, I'm gonna glow up and I'm just gonna, like, get super ripped and I'm just gonna have, like, sex with all these people. Like, yeah, I got over you, hot. Like, are you serious? That's just trauma. Like, that's, like, crazy trauma. Like, that is not getting over somebody. That's literally what like how is that the common conception of getting over somebody? Are you kidding me? I'm just gonna get super ripped. I'm gonna kill it in my job. I'm just gonna have sex, endless sex. Like that is not getting over. That is literally just demonic. That's crazy. Like that's no, that is definitely not what getting over is. And so okay, so if you take that out, I don't know what getting over means. Okay, what does liking mean? Liking means you this is my conception of liking is thinking someone is really pretty and super super hot, and then like chasing them, and then being like, hey, I want you to be with me, and then you shouldn't hook up with anyone else, and then we should spend a lot of time together and hold each other's hand. There's like all these like rules, and then if you do those rules, that means you like someone. If you don't do those rules, like it's like, okay, what if I don't want to do one of those things? Okay, what if I don't want to have sex with the person I like? Well, all of a sudden that means I don't like them? Like, no, that doesn't mean that. Like, what if it means I don't want to spend all my time with them? What if it means I don't want to live with them? What if I don't want to sleep on the same bed? What if I, like, what if I don't want to have kids with them? What if, like, I'm just saying, like, though none of those things means that you like them. It's kind of like you have this checklist. If you want to do all these things, which weirdly all kind of just align with just finding them attractive, like, all of them, like, almost all of them. Like, why can't we just say that then? Like, why are we saying? Why are we like confusing ourselves? Why don't we just be like, I find him attractive. That's it. Boom, done. No love, no any of that. I just find him attractive. Done. That would make life much more simple. It feels like we're like putting in this abstract concept of like love and all this other stuff, which just is like it seems like this abstract way of being like, I find him hot. That's it. Boom, done. Like I find them hot, and I find them like relatively decent enough to reproduce with. Like they're not like ridiculous. Like they're not like killing anybody, taking any drugs. They're like relatively stable. Like that's it. I find them attractive, and I feel like they would make good babies. That's really all it is. But we like love and blah blah blah. Cause I'm like when I date this person, attractive, good to have children with, like would be great with friends and family. Boom, done. That's it. That's it. Like it's not some like complicated, complex, undefined Disney love. Like I feel like that just doesn't even make sense to me. Like, but does that exist? Like maybe. I want to understand. I want to talk to somebody who like really reflects on like what their love means to them and be like, do you feel like that exists? Like you wake up every day and like, no, it can't exist. No, like I love my friends. Like I wake up so I would love people. I'm not saying love doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that it like when you make it this like the ubiquitous feeling, you're not gonna feel that all the time. So like, do I feel feelings of love for everybody at some points for everyone? Yes. You're gonna also feel anger. You're also gonna feel getting tired. You're also gonna feel getting bored. Like, so you have to like pick something that's a lot more like stable. So for example, you have to pick someone's like ethos, or you have to pick someone's like work ethic, or you have to pick someone's like dreams and visions, or you have to pick someone's like family. That's like something a little more consistent, and then fall in love with that. Because then you can be like, I can love that every day. But if you're just like in love with the person, and you're like, oh, I define my love as this like feeling I feel. Like that feeling just cannot stay. No feeling stays. Happiness, sadness, nothing stays. It stays for a little bit and then goes away. Like every feeling. So it's like doesn't make sense to me to be like, okay, I love this person, but like you can love things about them that maybe are more consistent. Because then if it's like if I like that one thing about you, if I like the fact that you like, I don't know, volunteer at a animal shelter on the weekends, and you continue to do that, then I can like love that because you consistently do that. I love that you like care about the I don't know plants in your community. Like that's something if you just embody on a daily basis, like you can love that and be consistent in that love. But like the person just doesn't click with me. I don't know if I maybe I just don't understand that. I don't understand that, which is maybe sad. No, maybe, but so I guess I'm at this impasse of like, what do I do? Do I continue to like fight with for this, and then like where does that come from? That comes from also from a place of like, do you just are you deserving of love if this person doesn't give it to you? Like that's its own thing. Do you have to first get that? Do you have to first feel like you're a person deserving of love first before you then go seek it? That's what I thought my whole life, and then it kind of just dropped on my lap, and I was like, I'll take this. I like this. It's great. Um, look, I think it's also not fair to expect. Is it? Is it like the part that someone's like, I want to, I'm capable of caring about the version you are today and hating a past version of you, like, still to my, blows my mind. I mean, I'm screaming this out into the ethos, the ether. Am I like just wrong? Like, am I wrong in feeling that way? Like, am I losing my mind? Like, is that like, does that just, if someone please text me, someone made it this far, please text me. Like, am I losing it by thinking that that makes no sense? Like, how can you like somebody just for who they are now? That doesn't even make sense. Like, I have so much to say about it. I don't even want to get into it. But maybe I'm not understanding it. How do you develop a more well-rounded third-person perspective of a problem? You have to like give yourself space, and you have to give yourself like time to grow, so you can like look back at it and be like, okay, now I can see the problem differently, right? Which, like, if you do it right, you can't do that in a day or 2 days. You have to do that in months or years of time. So every time you have a problem, like take months to like think about it, reflect on it, and then come back. Like, I don't think that works. Especially if you have kids, it's like, dude, you gotta fight and like deal with the kids at the same time. You can't just be like, all right, we fought, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know. It's the American way, I guess. Um, but like, what like what does it mean to be narcissistic? Like, I was listening to a friend talk a couple days ago, and I got kind of bored. Like 20 minutes in, and I usually never get bored with this friend. I got a little bored, and I was like, is it me? Am I like just not interested in hearing people talk anymore? Which I feel like, yes, I am actually not really interested in hearing people talk anymore. I kind of want to just work. I just want to like I want to like be around people I love, collaborate with them, create together, like create simultaneously on our own things together, be connected, provide each other safety and support. But I don't really want to talk. I just don't find, like, we've had this, like, what are the use cases of talking, right? And we had that one podcast episode on that, which was fire. But he was like, there's three little examples he gave. But I think there becomes a point in your life where like talking no longer serves any of those. Like, again, I was talking about being heard. Can anyone make me feel heard better than myself? No. So this makes me feel heard. So I feel heard after this. Do I need like safety? Then yeah, that is a great reason. Like, I don't know how to do this. I am in threat of dying. Can you help me with this problem? Love that reason to communicate. So if I need to communicate like that, I will communicate. The other one is to just like, like, what are the reasons? So I mean, okay, one is for safety. One is to feel heard, and then another one is to like, I forgot what the third reason was. I mean, another one people do talk for is just to hear themselves. I don't even know if it's to feel heard. It's just to like hear themselves talk. And I feel like I'm doing that here. I'm talking to not only hear myself talk, but like hear myself talk, register it back in my brain, fix my ideas because I'm hearing it out loud. So I'm like, okay, here are my ideas. Here are my ideas. I'm hearing them, and then I can like change them. So it's not just to like, oh, my voice sounds nice. Like, that's not like, it's more to like actually, if you don't voice it, it's just all like jumble in your brain. So it's like nice to kind of like get it all into one stream flow, and then okay, here it is. Boom, have it all out. Um, I guess like all I do know is, look, I care about this person, whatever that means. I mean, we can get each one. What does that mean? What does it mean to care about someone? But these are questions that have to be asked. You can't just avoid them. I hate that they're all avoided. I feel like each thing we should write. Okay, care about This is what care about means. Boom, boom, boom. I should do that. I should write what caring about means to me. What does loving someone mean to you? What does wanting respect, what does respect mean to you? Like, you have to really, like, flush these out. You can't just say, I'm like, I care about this person, and then just, like, have it out there. Like, oh, everyone just agrees on what that means. Like, no. Nobody agrees on what that means. We just think we agree on that. What does it mean to care about someone is very different for each person. It's not the same. Like, we all may have shared, like, understanding culturally, but, like, okay, caring about means, like, giving them the last piece of food. Like, whatever, something, whatever. Like, but, like, you could have the same intention, but just manifest in different actions throughout different cultures. But that doesn't mean that, like, the intent, it doesn't mean, like, that intention could manifest also in, like, I don't know, like, hitting a kid. Like, what if the same intention of you doing something else is the same intention as someone doing that? Like, how do you know that the intention is different when you say you care about someone? Is it just the action, or is it the intention? If it's the intention, how do you, like, measure the intention? Like, that's the hard part. If it's just the action, then it's like, what if you don't feel the actual loving intention behind it at all? You just do it. Like, isn't that manipulative in some ways? I don't know. So it's like, I care about this person. Again, whatever. I care. So no one wants to have these conversations. This person does not want to, like, discuss these, like what it means, each one. So it's kind of like, let's just throw these buzzwords around. So, okay, I care about this person. I want to make things work. I guess I have to do the reflection more, I guess. Which is just, like, reflecting more on, like, okay, you hurt people. Like, well, I've reflected on that so much in my life. Like, in undergrad, so much. For 4 years of my life, that's all I reflected on. From 2016 to 2020, that's all I reflected on every day. How can I be a better person? What did you do? How can you be better? What did you do? How could you be better? Really, like, I wrote down every day. Like, I was like, let's write down everything you've ever done in your life that you're like, why did you do that? I wrote it all down. I, like, took time to, like, really reflect on it. I told all my friends. I was like, I want to be more honest. Here are the things I've done. Boom, told all my friends. Like, every step of the way, I feel like I've been trying to, like, take accountability and be better. Still, like, it's not enough. So you have to, like, I guess, like, sit there and, like, smash your head in every day. Go, I was bad. I was bad. I was bad. Like, I don't know. Like, what more? Like, I'm trying. I guess you gotta try harder. Yeah. And then there's just some people you can't satisfy everybody. If someone wants, like, look, like, at the end of the day, like, that's what all, like, I don't know, like, everyone says this, like, some people just want you to fail. Some people want you to hurt. Sometimes, like, you made me hurt, I want you to hurt, just like I did. And some people want that for you. I guess what I would say is that person can definitely not love you. If someone wants you to hurt just like you hurt them, no matter what they say, they just cannot love you. And so I guess that's, like, my, like, kind of contending point. Like, if you genuinely just want me to hurt, I don't think you love me. But I don't think that's what that person wants. I don't think they want me to hurt. I think they just want me to be okay with them kind of just holding that resentment. Like, don't ask me to change. Like, you did what you did to me. Let me just, like, allow that to, like, let me feel that for however long I need to. Like, you should not be the person telling me that this needs to end, or this should end, right? And that's fair. So I guess, like, respecting each person's autonomy to be like, you can figure it out for yourself, like, what will work for you, is a good point. How can I be better moving forward? I mean, I think maybe this has already been so long, but how can I be better moving forward? You gotta just shut the fuck up, honestly. Just, like, when you're, like, having these conversations, you just gotta, like, read your audience and just be like, okay, look, like, I've completely stopped philosophizing things to people. I'm just like, all right, let me just, like, do it through this, do it through my work, do it through my reading, my all philosophizing is a work thing, work, education, that thing. If someone wants to come and, like, engage in that, I'm down, but it is not something I present to the world anymore, which is kind of sad in some ways. But I just feel like this particular individual doesn't, like, kind of foster those kind of conversations and that kind of support for those ideas to really flourish. But that's okay. Like, maybe that's a tough one to find. I don't think I've still met a person other than Mylan who like fosters that on a daily basis. And so like why even search? Like maybe it's not it just doesn't exist on in plentiful bounty of plentiful amounts out there. So it's like just not let me just keep that to my work to those things and I'll use that to kind of fuel that.